the Transmero pulled inside, I have a small checklist of things. Right now it's a mental checklist. I'm about to make it an actual checklist of things to do to get ready to go racing. Obviously, every time before we take this thing out, we do a fluids check, nut and bolt check, lug nut check, tire condition check, things like that. The more we prepare at the shop, hopefully the less we have to do at the track. I got this bad boy up in the air on the front. Here's my mental list that I put on here. Other than nut and bolt check and seatbelt check, this is what I got. So I'm here messing with the Transmero, running through all my program checks. Obviously I have CO2, and that's the parachute solenoid. Then I have the shifter solenoid there for the shifter. The great thing about this new V6 stuff is that we can turn our pin out. We can test the pins without doing anything crazy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit the shoot one and see if it works. That is our parachute lever. It's manual and pneumatic. We got some different strategies set up so it throws the chute. If the car gets a little too sideways, put a little too much steering in it, anything like that, we're gonna be able to pull the chute and straighten the car out. So here we go, see if it works. See if it fucking works, bud. That was cool. If we come back here, hopefully I didn't get my finger in there, so you can see those cables are deployed. That's what we want. That's what we're after. We have working parachutes. All right. So then what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna turn the 12 volts off to that because we have double trigger there. I'll go to the shifter one, shifter 12 volts on, and then I'm gonna hit the shifter. And the shifter is basically just that. It's built in, so it's right there. So I hit that and see what happens. So we can hear it there. I don't have the shifter in first gear for it to shift a second because I have the front end up off the ground and I don't want to have a potential of it rolling, so I'll go ahead and turn that off. We tested the air shifter and the parachute. I'm trying to do this through the camera's eye here. Bam. 2 for 2. On Stacy's car, we have a lot of inputs. We have a lot of things coming into this bad boy. And when you start building these things, what you got to do is you got to go through and you got to make sure that you have the right sensor configured. That way, when you get the data coming in, you make sure that you're able to read it. You don't just have a funky, you know, it defaults to a 1-bar pressure sensor. So if I set this up, you know, it defaults to this 1 bar, I go out and make a hit and I don't think about this here, all my data is gonna be gibberish because it's not, it's all in PSI. You know, I have to take and convert the PSI back over to voltage and then try and figure out the ride height. Instead, you just go from a 0 to 5 volt sensor, go down to laser ride height. It's all pre-set up, easy peasy. Now when I go out, it'll actually give me inches of height off the ground where we're at on this car. So that'll help us, you know, to see how the car is working, the attitude of the car, and help us with our wheelie control. We're gonna rely on this a lot with wheelie control. This and, you know, the rate that it comes up and the rate that the shocks change. So it's gonna be a very big learning curve for me. All right, so I just watched a bunch of 4Link videos. I'm pretty new at 4Link as far as drag racing goes, and I figured out this new trick. I was watching the Tin Soldiers 4Link bracket video. I got the Tin Soldiers 4Link brackets on this car, so I figured it'd work. So what I did is I took a plumb bob from the center of the rear end, and I made selects on the ground. Okay, on the passenger side of the rear end. Then I went to the frontmost bar on this car, found the center of it, made a mark, okay? Then you take your tape measure. I did the same on the driver's side. Came back here, and you can see it right there, made a mark. Okay, then you take your tape measure, and you measure it out. That's what I got on this side, 132. And then if I come around to this side, I got 132, both right on the nuts. So what that lets me know is that my 4-link brackets and my chassis and everything is square in this car. That's a huge sigh of relief. I haven't measured that before. That was my first time ever measuring anything like that. Usually if it has no crazy toe issues on the alignment rack, I run with it. But this is, you know, information is so powerful when you're building these quality of cars that, you know, you can never stop learning. That's one thing I pride myself on, is not being too proud to learn something new about what I'm doing or what I'm going to be doing or what I could be doing. So they say the first thing you got to do is find your instant center neutral line. That's the top of the front tire, the bottom of the rear tire. I don't know what the math is there, but guys much smarter than me say that that's what we do. So what I've done is I've taken this piece of string, I've taped it to the top of the center tire. You can see it go running across the car there. I taped it to the bottom of the rear tire. So, as crazy as this may sound, like that's a really steep lower bar angle to get some anti-squat. Rule of thumb is big tires want squat, small tires, radials, hard tires want anti-squat. Trying to pick up the car to leverage on the back tire. It keeps it from power wheeling and keeps some really hard force down on the rear springs. So yeah, I'm gonna try and figure out some more math here. Next, I'm gonna measure from the center of the wheel to about like 38 to 40 inches out. That's where they say that these 4-link brackets like to have the bars intersect. So I'm gonna measure that and I'm gonna get an intersecting point above my line. I'm not gonna get crazy above it, but I'm gonna try and be at 120% anti-squat. So that's gonna be above that line. Obviously behind the car is where the imaginary lines are gonna intersect. So I've taken and used this piece of masking tape as my neutral instant center line. And then I just took this string and went from the bottom of the rear tire. I'm under the weight. Obviously I don't have tire squish, so the tire's a little tall by about ½ an inch. It's okay though. We're just trying to get this car somewhat set up to where we know it's gonna go down the track and not get crazy on us. And right now we have a lot of squat in it, not a lot of anti-squat, so I think it would probably want to wheelie on us. So this piece of string now represents ride height. So that's gonna give me, you know, height off of the ground where we need to intersect our bars. It'll also help me represent where my 5 inches plus my crankshaft is, which is basically cam center line on this motor, to get the I don't know, what do they call it, center of gravity, which is going to go across the top of the car. I'm going to measure, like I said, from the rear axle forward and see what we get. Alright, so I have my ground line there. This yellow diagonal goes from wheel to wheel. That's my neutral line. I'm looking to be slightly above that to have some anti-squat on a small tire. This vertical line I have here, this yellow line here, that's going to be my 38-inch line. So they said you want to be between 35 and 40 inches, so I picked 38. It's a happy medium, so that's what that line is. This is just a piece of tape, so we don't have to, I don't want to confuse anybody with that. All right, and then they say you want to be about 13 to 14 inches, so I picked 13.5 inches from the center. You know, that's the center of your axle. That's where you want to stay, which is, you know, level with my crank. Well, it's pretty close. My crank's like 12 inches off the ground. So, I don't know why they say that. I'm gonna look into that some more, but you know, that puts us in a good ballpark still, 38 inches. Um, that puts us at a nice anti-squat level. So what I'm gonna do is, now that I made this and this is my upper bar, I can actually take and find out what the angle of this upper bar line is, because it intersects, they both, so I made this line for my lower bar, which is all like measurements from the center of the axle down to the tire there. So I can take and measure both of those angles, and I can set my bars up like that, and theoretically I should have, I think my math on this here is like about 110% anti-squat, so it's not going to be a lot, but it's going to be a good, it's going to give us a really good starting point on this thing. Like I said, I'm not a 4-link guy. I never have said I'm a 4-link guy. Torque arm stuff, I really understand. This 4-link stuff is kind of backwards, because the torque arm, we're trying to pick the whole cart with the torque arm, and it does its own separating. So I'm going to set this up. I know the car side to side is driver side heavy, so I'm not going to put any preload in the bars. I'm going to leave everything neutral to start with, but that'll give me a good starting point. And Travis said he wanted it. We wanted the you know, the anti-squat center point past, you know, on the back side of the weight of the car, which is things like 52, 48. So as long as we're on the back half of the wheelbase, which we are, it looks like I don't know, I can measure it, but we're going to be inches, you know, probably 6 or 7 inches at least behind that. We should be good. So everyone's saying I was here till like 4 o'clock last night, trying to get my list done on the old Transmero. So today, what I got done, it's like midnight now. I'm just really getting rolling on this thing. We had to go pick up the tow rig. We had to go pick up these cherry T-tops. These are the nicest T-tops I've ever seen. Like literally like showroom quality T-tops. They're glass, they're not Lexan. I was hoping to find another set of Lexan ones. I haven't been able to find another set. I broke one, I lost the other. Like, I've had the worst luck with Lexan tops. So hopefully these glass tops, I mean, you guys can see these things here are about as nice as they come for a used set from like 1985. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know some women from 1985 that don't look that good. So I think we're doing okay. I worked on some other things. Look, I got my list going here. I got a lot of it knocked out last night, a little bit of it knocked out today. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kick the power on. I'm gonna show you what all I've changed. Okay. So obviously we got the labels, right? So running lights, headlights, and dome lights are at. So if you look over here, I got the map pocket on. That's the thing that came in Trans Ams. We had that one custom made for this car, so Stacy could put her time slips in. I am super stoked about that, okay? Also, I have this cool little hot rod pin junction deal. That's so we can take the front end off and not have to unplug any wiring. We just undo the Zeus's and the front end comes off. So I got the headlights finally working 100%. The parking lights working 100%. As you can see, it's got like red demon eyes in there. And also I put bulbs in the front turn signal lights. So this thing has fully functioning lights. Got the quarter panel lights. It's got the tail lights. And then it actually even has reverse lights when it's in reverse or the trans brakes on. So I'm pretty pumped about that. As you can see, only thing left, brake sensitivity. I reached out to Tim McAmis. Billy over there, he's a sales guy. He overnighted me this really badass Wilwood master cylinder. Said, take the strange one off. Try this Wilwood one. It's right for what you're doing. So I'm gonna get that put on, get the brakes bled, get this thing ready to go for tomorrow. All right, so we got the smart guard in the trailer here. Oh, this sucks. It's a tight fit. Just so you guys can see how tight it is, literally like touch and mirror. Touch and mirror. She's tight. It's hot in here, but now we're gonna get Stacy's car loaded up and we're gonna get out of here. Hey everybody, we got this smart car in the box. We have the Transmero in the box. We have all of our tools and gear and fuel and everything. We are ready to go to this test deal and see what we can't come up with. I changed the brake master cylinder on this bad boy and it made a world of difference as far as the way the car works. It'll actually do a foot brake burnout now. Before it just had too much pressure. The bore was too small and it had just too much pressure, not enough volume. So we got the big black trailer ready to go. This is gonna be it, I think, for this video, and we'll do the track part in the next video. So to be continued. Stay tuned. Wish us luck. Thank you.